The opposition leader has been forced to press pause on his election campaign after testing positive for COVID. Anthony Albanese will now have to isolate for 7 days in Sydney after a routine test taken ahead of his planned trip to WA. Jonathan Lee has been travelling with Mr Albanese and filed this report.
Day 12 of the campaign is the moment Australian electioneering entered a phase never before experienced in our 121 years of federation, with a political leader forced to campaign online at home while a nation decides who should lead it. A statement was issued on behalf of Mr Albanese at 6:33 p.m, reading, "Following a routine PCR test this afternoon ahead of interstate travel to Western Australia, I have returned a positive result for COVID. I have been testing regularly as part of my election campaign duties. I will be isolating at home in Sydney for the next 7 days and will continue to follow health guidelines and advice." Just 8 minutes earlier, travelling journalists had been told they would be collected from their hotels at 5 a.m. the next day en route to Western Australia. The opposition leader had spent the day campaigning amongst workers and the elderly in the marginal seat of Gilmore on the New South Wales South Coast before joining a candidate and party faithful for a coffee catch-up in the Sydney seat of Bennelong. On Wednesday night, he debated Prime Minister Scott Morrison, shaking his hand to commence proceedings. Spending time after to talk with undecided voters. He had attended the Byron Bay Blues Fest on Sunday night, surrounding himself with scores of people. According to North Coast Public Health, there has been a 50% increase in cases around the time of the headline show and Easter. Scott Morrison caught COVID in early March and operated from home. Labor will now roll out its full contingency plan. It's hoped the party's leader will be well enough to host virtual events and blitz breakfast media. Prominent shadow cabinet ministers, including Jim Chalmers, Richard Marles and Penny Wong, will also be called on to front centre stage. Anthony Albanese joked that his team marvelled at how he'd gone so long without catching COVID. After a gaffe-prone first week, he'd got his campaign back on track. But how pandemic politics shapes this election will now surely be tested.